Technology is great, and the advances in technology allow us to do so much, right? Find cures for different diseases and cancers and treat patients and find molecules and develop better equipment and motors and stuff. But it opens us up for all sorts of risk. That wasn't there when we didn't have these systems, right? The more we computerize, the more places we let people try and attack, the more bad things can happen.
Welcome to Biotech Bytes, where we speak with IT leaders within biotech about the current technology trends affecting our industry today. I'm your host, Steve Swan, and I have the pleasure today of being joined by Kelly Randis, Global Head of IT for Gamida Cell. Kelly, welcome.
Hi, Steve. Thanks. Appreciate being here.
Sure. Thanks for joining us. So I always like to start out with, just getting a quick understanding of you and your organization. So tell me a little bit about how you got to where you are and that sort of thing, and a little bit about your company, if you like.
Sure. So I've been in IT for 30 years at this point, right? Working in pharma for 27. So a lot of time in the pharma industry. Started working on computer systems validation testing and moved through the ranks. Developed mobile applications for the commercial team, then took over all of operations for the commercial organization. Then went into enterprise architecture for a while, for a few years. Started up a center of excellence and innovation for Bristol Myers Squibb and Celgene. And currently with a cellular therapeutic company, we have a product that was approved in April. I'm going to call it, for lack of a better term, a cure. It's not a cure, but it is significant to help people with bloodborne type cancers.
Very cool. And so you help them build up their IT infrastructure and such, right?
Yeah, I came over in February of last year. They had no IT. They were pretty much a startup in the US, even though they'd been around for a while in Israel. So came in, built out the firewalls, secured them, upgraded them. From there, built out cloud environment, moved our stuff into Azure and AWS, implemented single sign-on using Okta, identity governance and workflows. So in the process of rolling that out. Also in the process of integrating some of their systems using Boomi to make it easier to pass data back and forth. Right now, that's missing. Basically changed the Microsoft licensing, made sure everybody had consistent licensing. So pretty much started from scratch and have built it out a little bit at a time.
Well, so tell me, a lot of the conversations that I've had with IT leaders for biotechs and such, we talk about different technologies and as they're coming, or their thoughts and feelings, right? You and I spoke about that too in the past, thoughts and feelings around technologies. What do you see, because you've been doing this for more than a minute, right?
Yeah.
So what do you think? What do you see as far as trends that are coming in our industry, or that are here, maybe even in our industry, that have made us better, smarter, faster, what we do?
Yeah, so AI is really coming in, right, to all different aspects of IT, but also into the scientific world, making it maybe easier in the future to identify compounds. But in the IT world, it's already in place in some of the cybersecurity systems that are out there for monitoring. I know some of the service management systems are now incorporating AI to help you write knowledge articles and to give better responses to tickets when they close. So I think that's going to be a big one and already impacting certain areas. Making sure that things are secure is going to be important, right? That cybersecurity technology is always changing because the hackers are always getting better, right? They continue to find a way to get in. So that's going to continue to evolve.
Yeah, I've read a lot about that, the cybersecurity and the operations side of things, the monitoring.
Yeah, that's all very important, right? I know just recently, right, there have been a lot of smaller companies getting hacked. One of the biggest things is phishing, right? There's a lot of phishing going on. And the people that are sending the phishing emails are getting smarter and smarter. There's a phishing email going around right now, and it says it's from Citibank. And the only way you can tell it's a phishing email is because the A in the word bank for Citibank is a different font. Everything else is legitimate, but it's a phishing. So you go and you give your information, and then, it could be devastating to your company. And I know of a company, had one user get phished, put in their credentials, and then the within 24 hours, the company was being held for ransom. After they paid the ransom, now they're just under constant attack because the dark side of the internet knows that they're going to pay out to continue to do work, right? So they're scrambling. So you know, that's very important, but AI is not going to help with that. It might a little as things like Mimecast and Zscaler and all that get a little smarter. But the best defense for that is our people, right? Making sure they are aware of what a phishing email looks like and how to avoid it. And, you know, just don't answer. If you're not sure, ask the question and monitor, right? I got an alert last week for somebody had done something that they shouldn't have done and was able to immediately shut them down, right? Block, kill all their sessions, shut them down, get them on the phone, you know, check everything remotely on their computer, scan it, you know, reset their MFA, reset their password, and resolve the issue before anything could happen, right? But if you don't have all those systems in place, it's not constantly being watched, it's going to get in somewhere. So that's going to be important.
Do we know, or again, this is just me thinking out loud. This doesn't even matter almost to the discussion. Percentage wise, any idea on how many folks or how many organizations are paying out on the ransomware? Is it a large percentage? Because I have no idea. I haven't read on that.
I haven't read about that either. I've heard of some, right? Through peers and colleagues and stuff. I'm sure that organizations, like if we Googled it, I'm sure we could find a percentage, but I don't know. But
it's substantial. They're making money, right?
Yep. Yeah. Or they wouldn't be doing it. And once you pay out once, you're just going to become a target because they know that you're going to pay out, right?
Well, so I actually read a story about a hospital system that got hacked, and they had ransomware. Then they paid, but what the hackers did was they somehow got pictures of maybe sick patients or something, and they kept posting them out on the internet till they paid. I was like, wow, that's insane. That's crazy. But I guess they do whatever they got to do, right?
So I read an article about a car's computer getting hacked because that is possible. Your car's connected,
really?
Right? Your car has computers in it, and think about how cars get more and more sophisticated. A Tesla can upgrade your computer with the car sitting in your driveway. So if they can connect, hackers can connect, right? And you talk about the brakes are getting controlled by a computer, right? Everything, right? So not that it's ever happened, maybe a good topic for a sci-fi, right? But somebody could hack into these automobiles, these self-driving automobiles, and wreak havoc, right? The more we computerize, the more places we let people try and attack, the more bad things can happen.
I didn't even think of that. Anyway. Wow, that's crazy.
Well, wherever you have a computer, right? Wherever you have a computer, that's open to
totally
access.
Makes sense. I just never thought of it. So I'm going back to the VW Bug. That's it. I'm done.
I want a Freddie Flintstone car, right?
Right. If someone wants to hack that'll be the equivalent of hacking my lawnmower, you know. Yep. So I'll go back to the VW and I'll be fine. You know, I won't get a speeding ticket either because I won't be able to go faster than 63 miles an hour. So.
I mean, technology is great, right? And the advances in technology allow us to do so much, right? Find cures for different diseases and cancers and treat patients and find molecules and develop better equipment and motors and stuff. But it opens us up for all sorts of risk that wasn't there when we didn't have these systems, right?
Yeah, and a lot of the CIOs I'm talking about are talking about AI, right? And they're talking about their use cases and things. And, you know, the holy grail, right, is on the scientific side because whenever you see, you know, the CEOs, right, on C-SPAN getting grilled by, you know, our government about the costs of their drugs, they're always citing the length of the research and discovery period and everything that's got to go on in the labs, which is legit, right? But, you know, if AI can come along and shave 6 months, right, 3 months, a year off that, or help them at the same time, maybe even help them say, okay, maybe we don't do these kinds of experiments because this is a waste of time, but we get to this. That's huge. That's a low hanging fruit. And that's kind of the holy grail for everybody, right? You know?
Yeah. From a scientific standpoint, yeah, that's huge, right? If you can cut down on that research and development time and then maybe the FDA can use it to cut down on some of their review time so that the cycles don't
Right.
have to be as long, reducing cost. Sort of like they did with the COVID vaccines, right? When it was a necessity, find ways to do that regularly. AI, I think, if it gets to a certain point, can be critical for cybersecurity, right? It can watch the traffic and get smarter about what's going on and pick up an anomaly that we would never see, right? And protect us better. So, but I don't think it's there yet. I don't think enough people are doing that yet, right? Like, because AI still needs the training, still needs the knowledge,
That's
and
where I
the
was just going to
focus is
go.
on,
Right.
on the scientific. But I think there are a lot of really good use cases in technology, right? Cybersecurity, but
Yep.
just in general, right? I think AI as a jury versus humans would be a good idea, right? Because that would remove bias. Although,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you have to worry about bias in AI too. So that's something you have to
You
think
too.
about as well. Because the people who
Hallucination,
are,
synthetic.
yep,
Right.
yeah, because the people who are programming it or teaching it have biases and it will learn, right? Look at what happened to Microsoft when they released that one a couple of years ago on Twitter, right? Within
Yeah.
an hour, it was making all sorts of inappropriate comments because somebody went in and retrained it. So
Right.
I
Yeah.
don't know that there's a way around that yet.
Well, so one of my guests was talking about that, and he was talking about his thought around that particular thing, right? Making inappropriate comments. It would be for your validation testing or your, whatever your testing of AI to apply the same sorts of rules and parameters from an HR perspective, right? That would be inappropriate for an individual, right? So let's not allow AI to say that or do that. You know what I mean? And try and cut. I don't really know how that would work, right? Because
Yeah.
that's why I'm
But
on this side of the camera, right? So
well, AI is constantly learning though, right?
yeah,
So every time
yeah.
you feed it information, it's learning. And that's what happened with the Microsoft example, right? They had trained it to come up with certain responses, but the Twitterverse at the time started sending all this inappropriate stuff. So they basically retrained it, right? And programmatically, you can probably put some constraints on it, but there's still that possibility, right? That you're not going to be able to eliminate all of that.
Right, because it again, as everybody's saying to me, data is the fuel for the engine, right? And if you give it bad fuel, right, we could call it bad fuel, it's going to learn bad things, right? So,
Yeah. Yep. And it learns from people, and people have biases, and and they try not to impose, you would hope, their biases on AI, right? But it's not perfect. It's not perfect technology.
now what I wanted to get back to real quick was on the security side, AI has to learn, and AI's got to learn from data, a data set. Nobody else is going to share their data with you because you've got to use your own data to train your AI, right? Because it's security, right? That's just the nature of the beast. So AI's got to sit and continue to learn from your data, right? That's coming into it from your systems and your universe, which could take time, right? Which also, it doesn't see a change up. It sees curveballs all day. So it doesn't learn how to, hit that change up. You know what I mean? So I
Yeah,
don't know.
no,
Again,
I know exactly what you mean. I agree, right? Sometimes in some cases, there's not going to be enough or a large enough volume of data, right, to train it quick enough to be valuable. I mean, and the final technology, I think that's really making a big difference everywhere. Chat GPT and the new GPTs that are being built off of Chat GPT. I use Chat GPT, I would say at least daily, and I've written a couple of, just play around GPTs. I know my nephew, I was talking to him, he built a Raspberry Pi and was using a Chat GPT that he wrote to help him troubleshoot his Raspberry Pi. So I think that will go a long way, right? Because I could use Chat GPT right now to write my emails and send it out, or to create a presentation with certain data. So I think if it's used correctly, you'll be able to use it to focus on the stuff that's not as important and free the individual up to focus on the things that really mean the most, right? But there have to be some safeguards put in place there too, right? Because people could use that for all the wrong reasons as well. But that's one that I see up and coming. Something like Chat GPT powering an AI virtual assistant, right, on a website could be a great experience for someone, right?
Now, isn't that where Copilot's coming in for Microsoft? Right in that, right?
Yeah,
No?
Microsoft's a little bit behind. I think Apple's even a little bit further behind when it comes to ChatGPT. I think Google is one of the most advanced there. Microsoft will probably buy somebody to catch up, right?
Yeah.
And Apple just bought a company
They did. I read about that.
they just bought an AI company. So I think they'll catch up fast. But right now I would say that Google's a little bit ahead of the game. I've used I think theirs is called Bard.
Yeah, Bard.
Yeah. So I've used theirs. I like the native chat GPT. That's my favorite so far. Seems to give me the best answers.
So you've used them all is what you're saying, or have used most of them?
I've tried. Yeah. And I do tend to land with chat GPT most of the time.
Because of their answers, because of the usage of it, or what is it?
Yeah, because of their answers and because of the multiple uses. So I used chat GPT to help me troubleshoot a problem the other day. We put in the error message and just work through different things, which was great. But on a personal level, I had a picture I wanted to blow up, but whenever I tried to blow it up, Shutterfly would say it's going to be blurry, right? The resolution is too low.
Too pixelated. Yeah.
So I uploaded it into Chat GPT and I said, fix the resolution of this so I could blow it up to 16 by 20. So Chat GPT fixed the resolution of the picture. I went out to Shutterfly. I blew it up. It came out gorgeous. So there's so many uses for it that I'm just a huge fan.
I would have never thought of that. I would have given up and walked away. Huh.
Well, it was my daughter's wedding picture. I really wanted it blown up, but for some reason, the photographer didn't use high enough resolution, so I couldn't blow it up. But ChatGPT fixed that for me. So
that's awesome. Good.
I used it the other day you can use it to help build things, right? I asked it to help me build a PowerShell script to do something, right? I told him what I was trying to do and it gave me the PowerShell script. So it's a huge time saver, right? When you're working on a bunch of stuff and you can't remember how to do something or you need a one-line script real quick, you just throw it in there and then it's done.
Well, I think a lot of the programming, eventually, it's not there yet, but a lot of the programming is going to be done if it's not already being done by some of the AI.
Yeah, some of it will. And it's going to make it difficult for people doing interviews because ChatGPT was used and passed the Google interview. So
really,
there's a whole article about that. You can read about it. That ChatGPT actually passed the Google interview. So if you're interviewing someone, unless you're sitting right in front of them, which doesn't happen that often anymore, you don't know, right? You don't know. They may be over here typing, what are you doing?
Interesting. Okay. So now any other technologies, I mean, that is going to be groundbreaking, right? AI for all of us. And that's the big one that everybody's talking about. Any other technologies you think we should cover that are affecting our industry?
I think right now, those are the three at the top of my list, right? That I'm the most focused on. I think they have the biggest impact all around.
Yeah. No, they're going to have a big impact. They're just going to get bigger. I mean, my other guests in the past that I've had on the podcast, they see this as the beginning of when the internet came in. This is 1990 all over again. Where one guy said we're rubbing sticks together to create fire, and it's just going to keep going from here.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to get bigger and bigger. We're going to need people who understand it, understand how to train, right? Still need some work because we have to figure out how to eliminate that bias.
Yeah.
Right?
But how do you do that? Because it's learning from us.
Yeah, I'm not sure, right? But I think that's a problem that has to be solved. The only other thing I think is going to impact all of us is blockchain, right? I think at some point, from a security standpoint, if you could, keep your files behind your firewall, but access through the blockchain, right? Because the contracts that people have sent in blockchain have been hacked, but the blockchain itself is not hackable. And I know there's a bunch of companies, I know EY is out there and a bunch of that are trying to resolve the identity access portion of the blockchain, right? Which is key for pharma. right? But if that can get resolved, I think that that's going to change the way infrastructure is designed because it's the most secure, right? And when you're dealing with patient health information, people's personal records, I would want it on the blockchain before I put it anywhere else.
Now, is it most secure because things get segmented out? I mean, why is it the most secure?
Well, because it's replicated everywhere, right? So it's replicated all over and it's all encrypted. You can't really break the encryption. And even if you did, you would have to break it on every single block in the chain at the same exact time and make the same change in order for it to stay, right? So if you do something and you affect a block on one or a bit on one block, when it comes back around to replicate, it's going to go, nope, that's bad. And it's going to put the right thing over there. So unless you were somehow able to coordinate that on the hundreds of thousands of systems that make up the entire chain, you can't hack it.
Right, right.
Right. So, and there's ways to use that to keep your data internal to you, but put pieces out on the blockchain to allow other companies or organizations to use it, right? So now,
like permissioning, like a JSON almost, right? Like,
yeah. So you see a lot of CAR T companies, right? All of the hospitals are running a portal, right? So that they can register the patient and fill in the information for CAR T. So the hospitals, I'm sure, don't want to have 30 portals for all these different CAR Ts, right?
Yeah,
but if there was a pharmaceutical blockchain, right, that could be separated so that each company could do business on it, and all you would know is that, say, Gamida Cell did a transaction, but you wouldn't know what that transaction was, right, because you couldn't read it. The hospitals would only need to go to one place. Right. So overall, that would make it easier for them, even for the patients, right? Because then they could have in their wallet, they could have a key that would unlock their records for the hospital, right? They would have all their records on the blockchain. So say you were in Florida and you got sick and had to go to a hospital there, you give them the key and they have all of your medical records because they're on the chain, right? So they're the only ones that can see it because they have that key. But then you should own your key. And when you're done there, you can revoke that key and modify that key and take it away, right? So
it's no longer
I mean, this is all fictional, right? This is just all the way I see it working. I don't know if anyone else sees it working that way, but this is like when I look at blockchain, I see these use cases for it, right? Where we can protect things and just make it easier.
Well, yeah, because one of my guests at one point, we were again back to AI. He was playing around with it one day, and up popped information on a competitor. And we're talking we're talking scientific data.
Wow,
he did some screenshots. Nah, he did some screenshots and got it over to the company and said, "You guys got to address this."
Yeah.
So I'm assuming they did. I don't really know. But
I hope so.
I hope so too. So anyway, all right. Well, so we covered a lot there, and I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Now, is there anything more you want to hit on? Because I don't want to take up the rest of your day because I know you're busy.
Yep. No, I'm good. I appreciate being here. Thanks for having me.
I have one last question I always ask people right before they go. Live music. I'm a live music guy. I don't know how you are with live music, but I always like asking folks their favorite live concert they ever saw, band that they've ever. You strike me as somebody that would have seen one or two shows at some point in your life.
I've seen one or two, and my favorite one was Pink Floyd at Nassau Coliseum when Nassau Coliseum was still there. Yeah, nice small venue, nice mellow crowd.
My oldest brother talks about a Nassau Coliseum Pink Floyd show. I don't know what year it was. I have no idea. He's 6 years older than I am, so
Yeah, mine was it was probably the same one, Steve.
Yeah, it was probably
the
70s, right? Was it in the late 70s?
It was in the 80s. It was in the 80s.
He graduated high school in 79 or 80. He could have come home. It might have been in the summer when he was home from school.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. So
he talked about how phenomenal that was. Like he had a real plane. a real plane came in and flew into the wall or something. He said, like, it was crazy. He said it was insane.
And the big pig that just floated throughout the entire stadium. Yeah, it was awesome. Yep.
Well, that's awesome. Gosh, I went and saw Roger Waters, right? Yeah, Roger Waters recently, and it's just him. So it was kind of, he took all the guitar out and stuff like that. So anyway, it was okay. I still would have rather have seen the show you saw. Anyway, thank you very much. Great to have you on.
Yep. Thank you. I enjoyed it. Have a good day.